me, is this the reading room?
Yes, I'm Saad Manzoor.
And I'm Travis Howard.
This is Reading Room Talk. Thank you for pressing play.
Welcome.
We appreciate you guys being here with us today. We're here with Dr. Kim Callwood today. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Awesome. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Oh, we're doing well.
Yeah,
awesome.
Really appreciate you making the time to be with us here today. So let me ask you a quick question to get started. Take us back to medical school. What was your toughest class or rotation in medical school?
Well, my toughest class in medical school was pharmacology.
Mm-hmm.
And because with pharmacology, that was like in my second year. And then I think in your second year, you're supposed to take like National Boards Part 1.
Uh-huh.
Correct.
And I couldn't do both.
Oh,
it was just impossible. It wasn't going to happen. But I was fortunate enough to make the brilliant choice of going to Tulane Medical School. And at that time at Tulane in Louisiana and Texas, the students had a choice to do national boards or something called the Flex.
The Flex?
So the Flex exam was taken at the end of medical school after you graduated, or you took national boards. So that was my decision. It's like I'm going to complete pharmacology. Then after medical school is over, I'm going to take the Flex exam, and it is it is the same as it was seen in Louisiana and Texas. You were allowed to take the Flex, and nationally it was seen as the same as national boards.
Oh, that's so funny. I remember like when we like fill out, our medical applications for like medical licenses in states, they always ask us, do you take the USMLEs or do you take the Flex exam? So I thought the Flex was like a foreign medical school examination, but that's so interesting. So it was actually an American examination you could take at the end of medical school.
Yes. And so because it was taking at the end, you've graduated, your exams are done, blah, blah, blah. So you're a doctor. So now all you have to do is pass the Flex.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and they stopped the Flex. I don't know when they ended I don't know when they ended. They did end the option of taking the Flex to the national board. So it's no longer an option, but when I went through medical school, it was an option, and that was the option that I took.
Oh, that's
so because pharmacology for some reason was so difficult for me, it gave me an easy out.
Yeah,
so to speak. I didn't say.
I'm sure it's not an easy out, but it's nice that you were able to do the research and figure out, a way around something that was going to be difficult for you. So that's
right.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's so good.
Absolutely. I mean, seems like a great way to like learn what you need to learn, and then at the end you knock it out, and then you're certified.
No, that makes sense.
Right.
There's so much stress associated with like all these exams that you're taking. So it's nice to like, because I remember like during second year, third year, you're like kind of studying for like, your medical school exams, but then in the back of your head, you're like, I gotta get ready for step one. So it's like you're kind of doing like double studying, and it's kind of a hassle because then like all the sometimes the questions that you get in medical school and the tests aren't like reflecting like what's going to be on step one, and that's just frustrating as well. So that's really good that you like were able to figure that out and make that happen.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I chose Tulane. Tulane was actually my first choice.
Okay.
Because there were a bunch of students that went to GW with me that went to Tulane, and they were doing great. And Tulane was committed to graduating their students.
Nice.
So when I went to the interview, they're like, look, if you have to take off, if you have to stop and come back, if you have any kind of drama at all, and you cannot finish this year or in your class, you do what you got to do, come back, and you'll fall into the next class and graduate. So I think it's important that when you're choosing a medical school, you want to choose a medical school that is committed to making sure that you're successful and you make it through.
100%.
So there were
Absolutely.
there were students in my class that didn't start with me. They were in classes ahead of me and dropped out, either got married or, whatever drama happened. They dropped for a couple of years.
Life
And then
happens.
they came back and picked it up and graduated.
Absolutely.
So, you got to really pick the school that is committed to you.
You got to
The
feel
process.
supported
You got to
at every step in the process. Absolutely.
Yes. And that's another reason why I chose Tulane, because when I went to the interview, they had a very strong African American support system.
Oh, that's nice.
They had like old exams, and they're like, anything you need. You want us to go to the growth lab with you. You want us to do your cadaver with you. We are here. We are here. We are here.
Oh, that's so great.
So
that's so great.
And that, along with the fact that I didn't have to deal with the winter, because I'm originally from the Virgin Islands.
Oh, really?
Okay.
So that was a big thing for me too. Like, I'm in medical school and I have to deal with the winter. No.
Oh, that's
So it's much warmer down in New Orleans. So I was like, this is perfect. This is just perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, and then when you
made
finish
a good
your test,
decision.
there's a place to party.
Yeah. It was, my medical school years were so precious because, I was there pre-Katrina, and I was able to really experience the culture of New Orleans, like the way it was back in the day. Because after Katrina, New Orleans has completely changed.
It is not the same. Yeah, absolutely.
And I had the opportunity to as a medical student, do rotations at Charity Hospital, which is like the poorest hospital, is like Grady Hospital in Atlanta.
Right.
But it was like such an awesome place as a student. I just have so many fond memories of medical school.
I'm sure they let you do everything at Charity too.
Oh yeah. You delivered the babies.
Oh, nice.
And Charity back in the day, there was no HIPAA. Okay.
Okay.
So you had this big room, and you had like 20 patients, and everybody was separated by a curtain. So, like, if you were doing surgery, you come in at 4:00 in the morning, and see your patient, get your labs, and then at 5:00 you'd round with the intern, and then at 6:00 you'd round with the first year, and at 7:00 you round with the third year and the chief resident, and then like at 8:00 you'd round with the attending. So by the time 8:00 happened, everybody in the room knew what everybody else had.
I had heard the story over and over again.
Oh, that's so good. Hey, repetition is key. Repetition is key.
There you go.
It was just an awesome place. It really, really was.
Oh, that's great.
How did you find out about Tulane? You said you met some folks that had done well, and they talked Tulane up. So how did you meet those people?
So there were students at GW, because I went to GW undergrad.
I see.
So there were some students at GW. So at GW, I was very aggressive. And so at GW, I was like, we formed this pre-med organization called the Charles R. Drew Pre-Med Society.
Nice.
And I was the president.
Oh, that's
so I was out there meeting different students and going down to Howard and talking to the admissions and having people come and talk to us about getting into medical school and what it's like and such and whatever.
Oh, that's incredible.
And there were some students at GW that were ahead of me that ended up going to Tulane, and they were like their experiences were great and they did well. So I said, well, I got through GW. If they can get through Tulane, then I could get through Tulane.
Oh, that's so.
So, and then all the other reasons, like I said, it was warmer down there. When I went to the interview, New Orleans back in the day was like a different world, you know. It was just different.
Yeah.
And everybody was so warm and welcoming and so supportive. And I'm like, this is where I want to go. So when I got into Tulane, I got into a couple of schools ahead of Tulane, and I just waitlisted them because I wanted to go to Tulane.
Oh, that's
good. The commitment that the school had to its students, the option to take the flex,
wow.
and Tulane also at that time had a pre-med. I didn't do their pre-med program, but they had a pre-med program for minority students. Like the summer before getting into medical school, where you took like some medical school classes.
Okay.
And, so typically, if you got into that program and did well, you knew that you could get into Tulane. So actually, I was the only student that got into Tulane that didn't go through that program.
Like African Americans.
So when I got there my freshman year, all the kids knew each other. At least all the minorities knew each other because they had gone through the med rep program.
Gotcha.
I didn't go through med rep, but I still got in. But they welcomed me. It was just like awesome. I mean, it was hard. It was very, very hard. But it was such a good experience.
Absolutely. I think if you have the support of like your friends and people that you're able to get along with and the staff that's there, and knowing that they have a pipeline that's already been created with people coming from GW, and then also, people at the med prep program that were at Tulane. I mean, that's community. You just basically drop yourselves right into the community. And that's
that's nice.
Oh, that's so important. And I'm sure you probably got into schools that may have been like more highly rated, on the scales, I guess, but sometimes you have to make a decision based on, where you're going to be comfortable, where you feel like you're going to be able to succeed. So that's great. That's so good that you were able to be brave enough to make that decision. So that's great.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You have to go where you think you can get through and get out.
Exactly.
There you go.
The whole issue of, unless you're going to do like it. Oh, that was another reason why I went to Tulane. I also went to Tulane because they had a dual degree program.
Oh, okay.
So Tulane had a bunch of dual degrees. So you can get an MD, MPH.
Oh,
and
which
so
you have.
Which I have, yes. So I did. So instead of doing electives, you would go over to the public health school, and they set up an entire program just for the medical students that wanted to get the MPH.
Oh, that's
so
incredible.
for an extra $5,000, I got a master's degree in public health.
Wow.
With no additional time.
Wow. So also in 4 years. That's amazing. Yeah. That's
so
good.
that was another reason why I went to Tulane. It was just awesome.
many reasons. So what year?
Yeah.
Can you take us back? What year was this when you created that Drew Foundation at GW, or the Drew?
It was. I'm going to age myself, but that's okay. It was. I graduated from high school in 1980, so I was at GW from 80 to 84. So we probably did that either 82 or 83.
Wow.
Okay.
That's incredible. And this is something that did not exist before. Wow.
Yeah.
No, we because there were no minority pre-med clubs.
Yeah.
And GW had quite a few pre-med students. And I have friends now that are physicians that went to GW with me.
I see.
So we started this organization, and they gave us like a little $500 stipend, and I was off and running.
That's all it took.
There you go. Yeah, you said you were aggressive. I had a question about why you chose to get an MPH.
Well, because I wasn't committed to doing direct patient care. And fortunately, I knew that early. And I wanted to always give myself a back pocket.
Right.
And a plan B just in case I got into something that I absolutely hated, and administration potentially could be an option. And then I also, like the concept of global medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I was very interested in what I was being taught, except the whole biostatistics and epidemiology. That was a hard course. I didn't like that, but everything else was just so interesting to me. So I said, I'm going to get this MPH. It's only $5,000. It's not going to be any extra time, and I may use it down the road at some point. I never did, but I'm glad I did it.
Exactly.
And
There
if
you
I
go.
had to do it over again, I would still do it.
Wow. Wow.
Very smart.
That's amazing. So can you tell us more about the Caribbean and where you're from?
What about?
Well, tell us how.
So I'm from St. Thomas, Virgin Islands,
All right.
and there was no one else in my family that was a physician. And I've always liked science. So by high school, I knew I wanted to go to medical school.
You already had it in your
Okay.
mind. Wow.
I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I was going to go to medical school. So
Gotcha. Okay. And how did you transition from there to DC at GW?
So my older brother went to GW.
Oh, okay.
So he graduated in 79, and I got there in 80.
Gotcha.
So he was still milling around when I got there. So he kind of oriented me when I got on campus, because my mom is from Williamsburg, Virginia, and my father's from the Virgin Islands. They met when my father was at Hampton Institute.
Oh,
Okay.
And then he took her down to the Virgin Islands. So we would spend our summers in Williamsburg, Virginia, as kids with my grandparents. So I was exposed to being up in the United States like 4 months out of the year. So that was not a transition. But so when I went to GW, my brother was still around and he still had friends. So he's like, "This is my little sister.
Look out
Watch out for her."
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. They dropped you right in the middle of Chocolate City. That's so good. It kind of feels like
So-
I was gonna say. It sounds like you went from like like DC, which is Chocolate City, to like an even more chocolatey city down in New Orleans.
What, in New Orleans?
Yes.
Yeah, Tulane.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been blessed that my road in this, my professional road has been so positive. I haven't had a lot of issues. It's pretty much smooth sailing, but it takes planning.
Yeah.
It takes planning, and it takes, you have to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know yourself. And I when I was at PG Hospital, we would have students from the Caribbean rotate through radiology, and I was the one in charge of them. And I rarely taught, we did some radiology, but I took that opportunity to talk to them about life,
So good.
and the profession for real.
Mm-hmm.
What to expect, and to know yourself, because this is something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And you have to still love it at 50 or 60 years old. And I still love radiology.
Oh, that's so good.
That's great. Yeah.
I still love radiology, and looking back, I still would have done each step exactly the same.
Oh, that's great.
So I have been fortunate and blessed that my road has been straight.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been easy necessarily, but it was enjoyable. It was positive, and I still enjoy radiology. And I think radiologists, for the most part, if you probably did a survey, we probably have higher job satisfaction than a lot of other specialties, you know.
Correct.
I buy that for sure. One thing I've noticed that you said, Dr. Callwood, and things that I've sort of grabbed onto is that you said if others can do it, then many others that were before you could do it, then I know I can do it. And to me, that speaks to the confidence that you had, the drive that you had, and you weren't going to let anybody stop you. You also said that you were aggressive. You looked for community, and you weren't afraid. You weren't afraid to try different things, and planning was key on your path. So I just wanted to take a minute and give you, some props for those things that you did, and for our listeners who are looking to find their way and on this journey, those are some gems.
No,
those are some gems. Those are things to do.
Important, very
Absolutely.
important.
I mean, you have to, when you decide what you think you want to do, it has to become a non-negotiable. It has to almost become like your DNA. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I don't care what y'all doing, but this is what I'm going
to do. Right.
That's exactly right.
Okay. It has to be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And then your thought process, what you do, how you do it will all fall into place because now you have decided, no, this is what I'm going to do. I've decided. I didn't decide being a radiologist until I was a second year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was a second year at Tulane, and I remember this clear as day. There was a lounge, student lounge, and the kids used to spend time in the student lounge watching soaps and that kind of stuff. And I was like, I thought I was going to do ophthalmology, and then all the guys in ophthalmology at Tulane were assholes. And so I can't be an ophthalmologist. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And so this upperclassman, I think he was either third or fourth year, and I was like, I know what I don't want to do, but I don't know what I want to do. He says, why don't you just be a radiologist? I said, a radiologist? What do radiologists do?
Yeah.
Back in the day, nobody knew what radiologists did.
People still don't know what radiologists do.
I know they still don't. You take the X-rays? No, ma'am, I don't.
No. That's so true.
That's so
true.
true.
So he said, listen, you have a great life as a radiologist. He said, you know everything about everything. It's very broad, radiology, but you'll have a great life, very interesting. And I said, oh, okay. I'll be a radiologist then.
Oh,
so that was just a blessing because trust me, I thank the Lord every day that I'm a radiologist.
Do you remember this person who told you this? Like, do you remember?
I don't remember who it was. I don't remember. I don't remember who it was, but he was maybe in that. For real. He was either a third or fourth year, and he was doing radiology. I had no idea that radiology was kind of semi-competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in your third year, you're doing your rotations, and then in your fourth year, you start doing your electives. So I did an elective at Howard in radiology, and then I drove down to Baylor and did an elective there, and then Emory. I went from Howard to Emory and then down to Baylor.
It's a lot of driving.
And did rotations there. And but I wanted to go to Howard because Howard still had their residency program at the time.
Mm-hmm. And
I got into Howard. And Howard was not in the match, so I kind of had to wait until the near end of my internship year to know that I actually got in to Howard for residency,
wow.
And that was a blessing, So, my journey has been very, very good. I have no complaints about my journey.
So
but like I said, you have to know yourself. I had one time I went to a party, and there was a young lady there.
All right.
And at the end of the party, they're like, "Oh, what do you want to do? You want to be a doctor? Oh, you need to talk to Dr. Callwood. Talk to her about, what you want to do."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And this young lady, beautiful young lady, she was Gucci down.
Gucci down to the top.
She was Gucci down, and she said she wanted to be a pediatrician. I said, "Girl, how you gonna be a pediatrician and you Gucci down? The first time that baby throws up on those Gucci shoes, you're like, I'm out."
You're done.
I said, that what you're presenting to me does not fit the lifestyle of a pediatrician.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, just on the surface, it doesn't. You look like a dermatologist, quite frankly.
That's right.
Okay, so it's important that you look in the mirror and know it's okay. You may just want to come into medicine because you want to make $1 million. Cool, but don't front. Don't front.
Don't front. Yeah, keep it front.
Pediatrics? No, I don't see you as a pediatrician. No, I don't, because that's not what First of all, they're not gonna make enough for you to support the $1,000 boots you got on.
Mm-hmm. And the kid's gonna throw up on it.
Oh man!
So I tell the young people, know yourself. Whatever specialty you choose.
So important.
Whatever specialty you choose, know yourself. Know how you want to live. I mean, I'm talking down to the the car, the house. Do you want to travel? Do you want to have time off? Do you want to have flexibility? Do you want to see patients? What feeds your ego?
Exactly.
Hey.
What feeds you? What feeds your ego? What makes you feel like you've accomplished something at the end of the day?
That's so important.
How did you help this person? How did you help the people that you touched at the end of the day? Radiology isn't for everybody.
No, it's not. No, you definitely
internal medicine is not for everybody. I just was fortunate. I knew a lot of what I didn't want to do, and fortunately, I followed, some direction and looked into radiology, and it happened to be something that I ended up loving, and I still love it after 30 years.
Wow.
It's like being an anatomic detective. Every person that you're presented, they are a mystery, and you have to figure out the mystery.
Right.
Each and every one of them.
And people counting on you to do it too.
Yes, and you are key and integral.
Mm-hmm.
And every patient that's in that hospital. Okay,
so
you're in the background, but 9 times out of 10, especially nowadays, you're telling the doctor what the diagnosis is.
That's exactly right.
Now, did you feel the pressure to go into primary care while you're in medical school?
Well, back in the day, because you're a female, everybody thought you're gonna be OBGYN. No.
Right.
No. No. And I was correct, because OB was like the rotation I hated the most. Like, oh, I do not want to deliver a baby. No, it's not magical to me. It's not. And that was fine. I knew I didn't want to do OB. Oh, no. But, yes. I knew that from early. No, I don't think I want to do that. Nope. Yeah, because, back in the day as a female, they just think that, you're going to do peds, or you're going to do OBGYN or that kind of stuff. And, no.
That's so true.
And there's a push for African Americans in general to do primary care, right?
Mm-hmm,
When you talk, I know when I was in medical school, I felt that pressure, and others have said it as well. So, but you have to know yourself, and you have to, carve your path, carve your own path, despite what other people say or what other people think you ought to do.
Exactly.
Because you're the one that doesn't have to do it. Like, no one else is going to do it for you. Like, you're the one that's actually going to be doing the thing that you choose. So you should choose the thing that you want to do.
Absolutely. And
very simple.
you have to still love it at 50 and 60.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Because
So,
there's just so many people that are just hating what they do for one reason or another. You know,
Burnout.
burnout. They don't feel like they're adequately compensated. You know, they work too much. There's just too much other stuff going on as opposed to what they really love to do, which is interacting with patients. You know,
exactly.
and they get burnt out. The practice of radiology has changed tremendously in the last
Oh, I'm sure.
25 years.
Yeah, I mean, we
But
we
it's
were
still
talking about how it's changed in the last like 5 or 10 years. It's always
yeah.
changing.
Yeah. It's always changing. I mean, I came through when there were still rotoviewers. We're still hanging film. Okay.
Me and Travis would have
You
not made
know,
it through if we were still hanging films.
yeah, well, yeah. You know. So they were hanging films. They were hanging films when I came through.
Yeah.
You know, so just the whole PACS and image archiving and, made us way more efficient.
Yeah.
Way more faster.
Exactly. More flexible.
And you don't lose films. I mean, we used to lose films, like, 10% of the films taken that year were lost. Oh, they're in the OR. Why is the film in the OR? So we were losing money because you couldn't keep up with the films. But now everything is archived. Everything is on, it's imaged. It's in the cloud.
Exactly.
So things have really, really changed.
That's so good. I mean,
what do you love most
about
it? Yeah, you have it. You've seen the the whole spectrum. You've seen it evolve over the last.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Because when I came out, at least in the DC metro area, there were 3 or 4 options, to work. As a Black female, so you had the main groups. You had Weena Boyle, Grover Christie Merritt. These were old white groups from years and years and years, and they didn't take Black females. They barely took females.
Flat out.
Okay.
Wow.
And you had those large groups that controlled a lot of the hospitals. Then you could work for like a Kaiser. I'm not sure if Kaiser was around then. They probably were. You can work for a Kaiser, or you can be an academic. But the options for African Americans was very limited
at that time.
Even in the 80s.
Wow.
Okay.
It wasn't that long ago.
It was limited. It was not that long ago. But with HMOs and the way management changed, reimbursement changed how radiology was practiced. A lot of then you had a lot of mom and pop small practices.
Yeah.
You may have a solo practice or maybe 2 or 3 man group. Somebody I remember Dr. Davis. He was a radiologist at Howard. He was one of our attendings. He had the contract for DC jail. Okay. So you could make it out on your own back then with just a small little office.
Not
okay.
Anymore. Not anymore.
But not anymore, but things change.
Yeah.
So right now you have a lot of private equity money in the game. And you have a situation where non-radiologists and non-physicians are controlling your destiny. And we're becoming a commodity.
That's right.
But it's a double-edged sword, though. Because you don't have the situation where you go into a group, you're expected to stay there 10 or 20 years, and everybody protects you. You try to maximize your yield. You come in and you're like, okay, well, your first year, this you know, 3 to 5 years of partnership, and you know, you don't have, you're not locked in anymore. And with so many choices in radiology, you can work from home, you can work overnight, you can work 1 week on, 2 weeks off, you can work 1 week on, 1 week off, you can work in the hospital, you can do outpatient.
Yes.
All those options weren't available when I came out because we didn't have PACs.
Exactly. You physically have to go to the hospital, hang the film.
Right. Everybody had to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're in a situation where there's a radiology shortage, and, you know, I'm seeing the compensation packages increase in amount over the last 10 years, you know, because 10 years ago, the daily rate was $1,500, $1,700. Now the daily rate is creeping up to $2,500 because you can't get anybody to work in the hospitals anymore.
That's right.
Everybody wants to work from home. You know, everybody wants to maximize that flexibility.
Yeah.
And so although we don't have the camaraderie like we had back in the day you go into a radiology department, 9 times out of 10, everybody in that radiology department has been together all their lives. It was like a family.
Yes, ups and downs, everything together. Exactly.
When I went down to, my first job was with Dr. Fu in La Plata, Maryland, Physicians Memorial Hospital, small 40-bed hospital in La Plata, Maryland. Everybody in that department had been together their entire lives. All the techs, everybody knew it was like a family. Dr. Fu was from Taiwan, and they just loved Dr. Fu. And he was a part of the medical staff, and he was well respected.
Yes.
And anything anybody did to Dr. Fu, they defended him. You know, so you always were walking into that kind of situation. You know, I used to work at St. Mary's Hospital, the same thing. Callwood Hospital, the same thing. Now things are completely different.
Yeah.
No one knows anyone, huh?
Yeah, no, you walk into a department, there are no radiologists.
Yeah.
Everybody's reading remotely.
Yeah, no, there's people who work for the same group who have not met each other ever.
Right. Oh, absolutely. You know, the only person in the hospital is interventionalist. Okay, because mammo is done outpatient, and so you're coming down, and you know, but you know, back in the day, you know, you rounded in radiology, so you got to know the clinicians, you got to know all the residents. You know, you talked about the patients. You know, it was a learning opportunity. You don't, none of that now. That's all gone.
Yeah, no, that's
true.
You're right. No, then the
you know,
I experienced that in medical school, and it was, you know, that experience. I love that. You know, when you're learning and you have a whole team come down, the surgeon's asking you, everybody's asking you, well, what do we do, and what is this, and what should be our approach? And that was a great experience, but that is gone. I mean, you'll get a phone call, you'll get a text message, but you know, you don't get that face-to-face time, that consult anymore.
Exactly. Yes. You know, and that held the medical staff together because you felt like you depended on each other and everybody was in it together.
Right.
You know, now it's you know, I don't want to say it's obscene, but it's kind of obscene because now, you know, nobody goes to the medical staff. Nobody wants to go to medical staff meetings. Nobody wants to go to the galas. They just want to go home.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
you know,
that's exactly right.
Through.
Yeah.
So the way radiology is, you know, the way it's moving, it's just very, very different from the way it was when I came through.
No, that
you know,
that makes sense.
And that part of that's kind of the unfortunate part. You know,
no,
that was the kind of glue that held the medical staff together.
Yeah, not just
and then, you know,
nowadays,
the whole staff. Yep. Yeah, and you don't, and nowadays the radiologists, it's like dog eat dog. They don't protect you. One group comes in and they do this little song and dance to the medical, to the higher ups. Oh, we're gonna do this and it's gonna be great. We're gonna save you all this money and we're gonna get you these, subspecialty reads and blah blah blah. But they don't tell you that we're gonna all the guys that are there now, we're firing.
Yeah.
Because we don't need them.
Yeah.
Because we have somebody remote already ready to take over this department.
Exactly. No, that's the thing with radiology. It's a thing that comes with the technology. The technology has positives and has negatives. But I guess in the words of Fat Joe, yesterday's price is not today's price, like you said.
True.
So, yeah. But
true.
Yeah. No, we really.
But I'm just happy that I was telling somebody the other day, I am skiing down the backside of the mountain now.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
How does that feel?
Congratulations to getting to that side of the mountain. Please take
Absolutely.
pictures.
I'm waving. Listen. I'm waving back to you guys. Okay, guys. You guys can handle it.
Oh, it's a poem. Dangle that carrot. How does it feel?
Exactly.
I don't think I would want to come out now. I'm glad that I came out when I came out and kind of saw the change and transition. I was out when radiology was wonderful, when, going to work was awesome. I mean, it still is in a way, but with the way radiology is being practiced, because when I first got to PG, because I was at PG, level 2 trauma center, lots of films, lots of sick patients. But again, it was a family.
Mm-hmm.
The people at the front desk had been there 30 years. They remembered me when I was a student moonlighting, when I was a resident moonlighting from Howard. I said, you still here?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Sadu had been in the department for 30 years.
Yeah.
So when we came in, it was 6 of us. We were there together every day, and you become a family.
Exactly.
Now it's just,
It's different.
It's
just different.
So I'm kind of glad that I came through when I came through. I'll probably work another 10 years, and then that's it for me.
Oh, it's all good.
So,
you made it through. I mean, that's a whole career that you've made it through. That's amazing. You made it through one whole career. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I had, I didn't move around a lot. I usually typically stay about 10 to 12 years in one place, and then there's a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of fall into the next transition and hang out for another 10 years, and there's another transition.
But it sounds like you've been blessed to stay local here too.
Yes. Oh, I love DC. I wouldn't live anywhere else.
Yeah. So that means
But for folks coming in, trying to go to medical school, like I said, know yourself. Don't do it for anybody else other than you.
You got that right.
It's okay to change your mind. Okay. Mm-hmm. Change your specialty. It's okay. If you find that it's not for you, it's okay.
That is okay.
Because the last thing you want to do is waste time. You don't want to waste time because you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, and you don't want to be wasting time doing a lot of something you don't like. So
right. Yeah. If you don't enjoy it, mm-hmm. you don't enjoy it, you're not looking forward to it. If you are not excited about it, if it doesn't hold your interest, then whatever it is, don't do it, because the goal is longevity. The goal mm-hmm. is the long game. And
the goal is Dr. Kim Callwood. That's the goal.
That's right.
That's the goal. We really appreciate you being here with us, and I'm gonna get you out on this
Yeah,
last. I'm gonna get you here. I'm gonna get you out on this last question. It's not even a question
Sure.
actually, unless Travis has a question. Do you have an actual question?
no, just good comments about the lovely energy Dr. Callwood has.
Oh,
I'm digging it,
absolutely,
for sure.
absolutely,
I'm
yes.
digging it.
Well, yeah, we don't believe that you're on the backside of your career, but we
No.
no, not at all. We think it's a lie actually. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you 2 words, and I just want you to give us a little bit of information about it. Okay?
hmm
Zulu ball.
Oh, the Zulu ball. Yes, yes. Listen, so my medical school dorm was on Canal Street.
That doesn't even sound
Okay.
right. Okay.
So I can look out my window, and on Mardi Gras Day, the parade would go up and down Canal Street.
Correct.
Okay. So I'd never been to a Zulu ball, but I'm familiar with the Zulus.
Yes.
I'm familiar with the Zulus. And as a matter of fact, the carnival in the Virgin Islands in St. Thomas, they have a Zulu troupe too.
It's very similar. It's very similar.
Yes.
Wow.
Very similar. Okay, what's the second word?
Oh, that was it. Zulu and ball.
That was it, Zulu ball.
Yeah.
That was it. No, because like I learned a lot about New Orleans, recently, just like as far as like the African American, history and the culture, and the Zulu ball was like a African American parade that was like under the bridge because they had like segregated parades, during Mardi Gras. So one of my best friends, he was, he went to Tulane for undergrad, but he was at Tulane for residency as well. So we go down there and hang out with him at Zulu ball. Big shout out to Joseph Fouché. And I just learned a lot about, African American culture in New Orleans, and very, very rich history there.
Yes. I was so attracted. New Orleans is one of my favorite places because, when I left Tulane, I would always find myself going back to the Jazz Fest.
Jazz Fest, yes.
And hanging out in New Orleans, hanging out on Bourbon Street. I had to get my fix every couple of years.
Oh, absolutely.
And like I said, I'm so fortunate that I was able to experience New Orleans before Katrina.
Exactly.
Because New Orleans was its people. It's the people that made New Orleans.
Correct.
And the people were so warm. The ladies in the cafeteria were like, "Hi, baby, you want some red beans and rice?"
They made sure you all right.
That's right.
Okay.
Look it up.
And
wow.
It was so rich and so warm. The food was very similar to the Caribbean food, and so it was just New Orleans was just it was so beautiful,
Absolutely.
So every step of the way I've had some just excellent experiences. Just looking back, it's just been awesome. And at the end of the day, I think overall medicine is still great.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a lot of issues. I think we can do things a lot more different. I think in this country, things are guided by money and greed, unfortunately. But I think we still
America.
can do and help people and make changes in their lives and impact people's lives,
Yeah.
And it's still a noble profession. And if somebody really feels like they can make a difference, please, by all means,
Let's go.
I have
a couple questions for you. Last 2 questions, Dr. Callwood, from me. One, can you tell me what was one of the great things you loved about your residency at Howard? And 2, can you tell us why it needs to come back, why it needs to be, reinstated, and why we need a Howard radiology residency?
So I went from GW to Tulane I did my internship at Sinai Hospital in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Sinai Hospital in Baltimore had a radiology residency program. It had ended the year before I got there. But of course, there's nothing like going to the Mecca now.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. You know.
There's nothing like going to the Mecca. You know, the radiology department at Howard, you know, was awesome. You were learning in a very nurturing environment. Okay. They're like, look, we're going to take you on this journey. And at the end, you're going to pass these boards. Because you're not going to make us look bad, okay?
I heard that.
That's right. Oh, that's so good. That's exactly right, though.
But again, it was very nurturing. It was great to be in an environment where, you know, African Americans were making a difference in an environment of excellence. Everybody's striving to do well. Very supportive. And so that was an awesome experience, and I'm fortunate. I'm glad that they accepted me, and I was able to pass my board. So you know,
Right.
it was heart-wrenching when I heard we lost the accreditation, lost the program. You know, we really need to have a residency program where you're putting out excellent Black radiologists, because, you know, in the majority programs, you may have one every 4 years.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Most of the African American radiologists I know came through Howard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all excellent radiologists. And I was so disappointed when I heard that we lost the program, you know, and we have been trying to get it back. I know Dr. Bonnie Davis, who's the chairman over there now, works very, very hard to try and get this program back. It's hard to get a program back.
It is.
But, you know, Adventist has partnered, quote unquote, with Howard.
Correct.
So they're going to bring some new ways of doing things to that Howard medical community.
Is needed.
And I hope it's going to be positive, and I hope they will be able to bring back the residency program. It's needed. We need to have that. We just need to have that department. We need to have that source of you know, training African American radiologists, along with a lot of the other specialties that the hospital lost.
Exactly.
The hospital lost. They lost a whole slew of residency programs.
Yeah, it wasn't just,
you know, and it's extremely unfortunate. We need to get those. We need to get that back. So, I enjoyed it when I was a student and did my rotation there, and I spent 4 years there. And it was an awesome experience. There are excellent teachers, excellent professors, excellent attendings, you know, but it was all in an atmosphere of, because, you know, in majority programs, you know, things tend to get cutthroat.
Oh, yeah.
You know, things, you know, you don't feel, you know what I'm saying? You just don't feel like.
Yeah. It's not
how do I describe it?
Yeah, well.
You just don't feel supported and nurtured.
Yeah.
You know, and at Howard, you felt supported and nurtured.
Absolutely.
You know, And what was the second question?
Well, you kind of answered it because I wanted to know what you loved about it and then why we needed it, why we need it back.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we need it. We need to get it back. We need to get it back. They're hopefully they'll put some things in place that will, hopefully pave the road to be able to really, make an effort to get it back. Because Howard has a lot of challenges,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of challenges. And if we can get those challenges overcome, a lot of the African American physicians in the community would support.
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
they would support it, and they're willing, ready, able to support.
Yeah, especially.
But they have to
Yep.
get some fundamentals back in order.
Exactly.
And hopefully with Adventist and what they can bring to the table, hopefully, we can tighten up the systems in place, tighten that up so we can then, circle back and get some of these residency programs back.
Yes.
So
that would be great. That would be great.
No, we would love that, and we're gonna be following closely and helping out as much as we can to help that make that happen. So, but
awesome.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being here with us today, and telling us your whole story, and yeah, I think it's an inspiration to everyone. Like this is
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an amazing story. So we really, really appreciate you being here with us, and yeah, we'll definitely be in contact, and we'll do this again, hopefully.
Sure. Let me know. Just let me know. Keep in touch.
Will do.
All right, will do. All right, Dr. Callwood.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, and thank you guys so much for listening. And till next time, stay low and keep firing.
Keep firing, baby.